Welcome to the Books and Martinis podcast.
I'm Priya.
And I'm Mercy.
And this is your go-to book podcast,
where we lift, empower, and spotlight authors.
Grab your martini and follow along.
And don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to our podcast. I'm Priya.
And I'm Mercy. Welcome, everybody, and cheers to everybody. And welcome, Darbie. Darbie, welcome. I'm so
Darbie,
excited you're here.
Thanks, guys. I'm so excited.
Yes, we're so close yet so far.
Are you in Tennessee with Mercy?
Yeah.
Yes, I am.
Yeah.
Oh, snap.
We're actually in the same town, I think.
Yes.
I love that. Oh,
yeah. Darbie, I'm excited you're here.
Right?
Thank you.
So, you guys, in your ears, on the screen, in your eyes, is Darbie Hamilton. She is the author of this beautiful book, The Cost of the Coat. I don't know if you could see it on her screen. My video is a little blurry, but it's a beautiful cover.
Yes,
We're going to have to talk about this artwork.
Oh my gosh, I love him so much. My artist was absolutely fantastic.
And we also have a treat because Mercy and Darbie know each other in person.
We met actually during a massage because Darbie is
of all places
therapist. Yes. Yes, and she was highly recommended by a dear friend of mine here, also in town from Miami originally. We have all the ladies here that connected that are from Miami, connected here in Tennessee, and one of them told me all about Darbie. And so how the conversation came about, I just don't know, but I think one of us
books come naturally into conversation quite often for me.
Especially for both of us, right?
Yeah.
So
while you're massaging her back, you're like, oh, so what are you reading right now?
Pretty much, yeah, it's kind of
the whole massage. The massage could not have been longer. Like we just couldn't have enough time to discuss everything. Yeah. We went on and on about our journeys as writers and her experiences. And then you have an interesting childhood because you are the child of military, right?
Yes.
So you've traveled a lot.
My dad was Air Force. And so we moved around quite a lot. I've moved, I think I'm up to 17 times now. So
wow.
Yeah, both in the military and outside of it. So yeah.
Oh, well, we'll definitely have to hear more about that. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, and outside of that, tell us more about you. Tell us who's Darbie.
Bookworm at heart, absolutely. It's like I have, like, my entire family is just a whole bunch of nerds and readers, and I was surrounded by books growing up, and just kind of fell in love as like I can't remember not really liking books. I was the kid that, like, you could take away my electronics, you could take away my friends and I'd be upset, but oh my gosh, if you took away my books, I would just come inside out.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, it's just kind of, I started writing when I was about 12 or so, something like that. And I just kind of went on from there. I was like, absolutely loved it. I loved exploring story and character and just making these wonderful people in these wonderful worlds and finding ways to put my faith into my writing and everything like that. And so just exploring that, letting imagination kind of run wild.
Isn't it the best?
Yeah.
So, I mean, does a lot of your life influence your writing? So dive right into it. So Cost of the Coat.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you're moving around a lot, 17 times, and all the things that you love and you do in your daily life, has that influenced your writing about the book? Why don't you tell us about the book first, and then we get into that.
So, book itself. So Shannon Rowell is my main character. She is the daughter of a Selkie man and a human woman. And Selkie Selkie is a man or woman that puts on the coat of a seal, and when they go into the water, they turn into a seal. Oh. What's kind of unique about this shapeshifter myth is there's always a time limit for how long that you can spend on land. In some myths, it's 7 years. In some myths, it's 7 days. Sometimes it's 1 day. Sometimes it's one specific day. In my book, whatever time that you spend on land, you have to give back to the coast. You have to give back to the sea with a maximum of 7 years. And so her father, his time ran out and he had to go back to the sea. And so the only way that you get out of this time limit is if your coat is taken. So in order to give Shannon a more normal childhood, they took her coat when she was a baby. I was like, catch with this is when the coat is taken, a piece of the Selkie is kind of taken with it. So she has spent her entire life mute. And so she uses sign language in order to communicate, which
Mm.
was, oh my gosh, so much fun to write. But what was interesting with writing specifically the relationship between Shannon and her dad, is like her dad left because he needed to, because and so there were bits and pieces where Shannon kind of has to deal with the fact that her dad wasn't around as much. It's like, but also like being open to actually having a relationship with her father, and being able to work past some of the hurt, but also understanding where that sacrifice came from and the reasoning why that happened, and coming to terms with that, and being able to move forward. And so that was really cool, being able to write that. So Shannon, she's grown up thinking she's human, as like, and just has this odd quirk about her of not being able to speak. And happens where her and a friend Mandy, they get attacked by the enemies of the Selkies, the Nereids. And the Nereids are the basis of the mermaid myth. It's actually one of the original formations of the mermaid myth.
Oh.
Which was a lot of fun to do some research on and kind of put bits and pieces into that. But her guardian that her father set in order to protect her while he's away does that. I was like, okay, they know who you are now. I can't protect you all by myself anymore. I was like, so I have to bring you back to the clan. And so she's thrown into this world of the Selkies and the Nereids and this shadow war between it, and like everything that's going on in the history and everything. So, and that's kind of the gist of the book, is her discovering this and dealing with the consequences of this war that has been happening for who knows how long. So
I have two questions for you, because I love obviously the whole book, but in the beginning, the father, how do you pronounce his name properly? Because I had a hard time imagining. Ian. Okay.
It is the Irish. Yeah, it's the Irish spelling. Is Eion. I was like, I actually put a pronunciation guide in the back of the book. It's in the paperback and the hardback, and if people do the ebook, it's hyperlinked. So there's also the.
That was helpful. Okay, good.
So that there's a lot of Irish names in the book, and there's a lot of terms that I made specifically for this story, and so I knew that there was going to be some trouble, and so I wanted to make sure that it was like, okay, this is how you say this. This is how you say this.
I won't be alone.
Yes. Oh, absolutely not. Yeah.
Okay. And what inspired you for the necklace? So she has the necklace where dad gives her right when he's first leaving. He's going back. Well, he doesn't tell her where he's going, but he's telling her he'll be back, several years. And then she has a pearl, and every year she adds a pearl to her necklace, her leather necklace. And then
she ties a knot all the way
right?
through.
Right. And then he does the same, but with a.
It's like a oyster shell that's like clasp. Right, it's like I wanted the pearl and and so they add knots to either side, and each knot represents a year that they have been away. So
what that actually for you?
That's actually a military kind of thing. I had thankfully my dad was never deployed, so I was very blessed to have him in my life for my entire childhood. But I did have friends that had their fathers that were deployed for months, if not years, overseas. And so they would find different ways in order to help kind of keep the family knit together, and to help the kids understand what's going on, and that daddy's not leaving because he wants to leave you. He just he has to go away for a while, but we're gonna have this as like, and it's gonna be a way to kind of like, this is something you have, but this is something I have too, and so we're closer than you think, kind of mentality. And her being so young at the beginning part of that, I wanted to have, because oh my gosh, Ian absolutely adores his family. It's like the only reason he's leaving is because he is forced to. And so exactly. And so he would absolutely find a way in order to try and make it easier, and to like leave a piece of his love with his family. And so the necklace was a way to kind of do the, I might not be here, but I'm still here.
Oh, I love that.
It's so beautiful. And how long was your journey in writing the book, from the moment that you got the idea, like I'm going to write about this, to putting a pen to paper and then being done with it, that entire journey? How did that feel, and how did that look for you?
So plotting it, writing it, editing it, and then doing all of the like formatting and publishing and everything, that was probably a total of 5 years.
Okay.
The I wasn't as consistent with writing like secular. I did have like spans of months where I didn't touch the story. I was like, and so it's a little bit elongated than the actual writing
Was that
time.
roadblock?
Sure.
Were you experiencing a roadblock, or which stuff was happening?
Stuff happened, but also I wrote another book at the same time that I wrote Cost of the Coat.
Okay.
I was basically writing two books at the same time. I was like,
Wow.
my brain does not like staying in one place for very
Welcome to the
long.
club.
Exactly. So
Welcome to Priya and I.
exactly. So one of the ways that I combat this is I currently have three stories that are simultaneously going. I'm focusing on the one that I was writing simultaneously with Cost of the Coat at the moment. So once that one's finished, then the sequel will be going through for Cost of the Coat. But yeah, I was like, when I would hit writer's block on Cost of the Coat, it was like, and I would try my other tricks as like writing longhand or like listening to stuff and trying to get through it, and it still wasn't working. Then I would flip to this opposite project, and inevitably that my brain would be happy with that, and I could go with that one until I hit writer's block on that one. Tried all my tricks, okay, not working. Then I would flip back to Cost of the Coat, and it made it so that I never got out of the habit of writing.
Excellent.
I was like, and I was still developing my skills. I was still developing how I run character, how I run plot, making sure everything was flowing the way it needed to. I was like, but my brain wasn't trying to force what it wasn't wanting to do. I was like, and so I believe it was a higher quality of writing because I didn't jam my brain into where it didn't want to go. I was like, and so it was a lot more free
flowed
flowing.
Organically.
Exactly. And had a lot more of a natural feel to it than if I just did this, like this happened, then this happened, just to get words on the page.
Right.
So
do you feel like the books influenced each other as you were writing them? The characters, the plot?
Not too much, honestly. They're very, very different. So Cost of the Coat is very much a modern fantasy. I was like, you have a lot of modern elements in it. While you do have the supernatural of the shapeshifters and the war and everything like that, I was like, it is still like human kind of interactions. My other one is on a completely different planet. There's literally no humans in it whatsoever. I made 3 different alien races. It was literally my world building experiment.
So you went from fantasy to sci-fi.
You got
kind of. So it's
yeah, I was like,
whoa.
Kind of. It's not actually in space. It's just on a different planet. As like I wanted to explore what I could do with a culture if I took the human element out of it. I was like, it's not medieval England. It's not like those kind of things. I wanted to like, okay, I have these kind of creatures. Okay, this is somewhat of their mentality. This is how they're structured. This is how they do. So what's going to influence that? Okay, they're this type of creature. This is going to influence their architecture. Okay, they have this kind of mentality. This is going to influence their government and their traditions and their like what they're willing to do and what they're not willing to do. It's like what kind of technology would they implement? How would that affect the world? It was like that kind of thing.
So you created a whole new culture and society.
I created 3 new cultures.
Wow. Whoa. So how did you keep track of that? Let's talk about that. Because when you're writing, so if you're writing a regular romance novel, fiction, humans, you're talking about maybe 2 points of view, 1 point of view, a very human setting. But in an alien world, there's the language, like you said, there's, the dress, what everybody looks like, cultural differences. How did you keep track? Did you have like a vision board? You put the 3 cultures on? Did you write it down?
I have this wonderful program called Campfire Write. It is an online forum, but it also has an app. I absolutely adore it. I will tout this one all day long. It has these tiles that it's like character and manuscript and timeline and culture and religion and like all of these different things, encyclopedia entries. And you go into these tiles and it has like, let's say the character one, for example, you go into the character one and it has like physical stats in this little bar that you can add in as like, okay, they have a scar over their right eye, their eyes are blue, they're black, they're white, they have they're kind of hunched over, like they're noble, so they have like noble clothes, or they're a beggar, so they have like all these like ratty kind of clothes. And then you have like personality traits that you can go into. Or are they your antagonist? What age are they? I was like, where are they related in your world? As like that kind of thing. And it also has a picture where you can download images, so you can have
That is so
a picture
cool.
of it. So like I can find like pictures on Google's like, okay, this is kind of what I'm looking at. Like it's not quite exact.
It's called
but like
Campfire.
Right. Campfire
Right.
right. And it's right as in
WRIT.
yes.
Okay.
Campfire right. One word. I was like, and it's absolutely amazing. And what's cool, so as you go, like you have all of these different tiles. I was like, say I have like a piece of technology, I can put an encyclopedia entry as like, okay, um this is what this piece of technology is. This is what it does. This is what it looks like. And so when I'm writing, I can like, oh gosh, what does that look like? And I can go back and do that. Okay, here's what it is. I was like, and what's also really cool is like it breaks it up into different projects. So it's not just like a whole bunch of lists of like, okay, I got to figure out who goes to where. You go into a specific project like Cost of the Code. I was like, and it has all the characters for Cost of the Code, all the lore for Cost of the Code, all the timeline for Cost of the Code. I was like, and what's cool too is when I do my sequel, I can tag in that, or I can connect those projects, and it'll automatically download all of the information that I have into my next project, so I don't have to re-enter data.
Whoa,
Wow.
I'm gonna have to check this out because
It's
I'm
so
having
nice.
a hard time. Like, so I started my first series, and I'm on the third book. Nothing's published yet, by the way. And then I have my space opera series that I started, and my space opera. I don't know what's going on in my brain.
That title.
Well, that's not the title though.
Oh, I love it.
It's a genre, yeah.
It is for
It's a
me.
genre. So I'm having a hard time remembering, like, oh crap, she did this, or he looks like that, or whatever.
You definitely like this. It's
Okay.
so nice. And what's cool is like, so you said you had multiple books.
Yeah.
I like that one too because, like I said, it has the individual tiles. So I have a tile for Cost of the Coat. I have a tile for the Duranian Vow. I have a tile for my werewolf book. I have a title for my World Within a World book.
Yeah.
And so I can go into each of those, and it's specifically that book. So I don't have to get muddled in all the mess of my other books. It's specifically that lore.
Wow. Okay.
Wow.
Is this
really,
a free
really nice.
for our listeners? Is this free or is it paid?
So it is a
What
paid
options?
it is a paid subscription. However, one of the reasons I went with this one instead of some of the other ones, you only pay for the tiles that you actively use. So it has like 15 to 20 different tiles that you can use, and you select which ones that you think are going to be, and you can change it at any time. So like, for instance, I typically will use Christianity as my basis for religions. I don't need a religions tile. And so I can exit that out and not pay for that one. And each of the tiles is only, I think the max a tile cost is like $2, but most of them are like $1.30, $1.50, something like that. And so it compiles what tiles you're using, and that's your price. I am currently paying, I think it's like $11.75 that I'm paying, something like that per month.
Oh, that's not bad.
It's really not bad for all of that. I was like, and
all
it
that
has
information it's saving too.
Exactly. It's like, and I do a lot of my plotting when I'm in the massage room. I was like, if clients are quiet, it's like I go into my writing brain. And so I was like, I'm able to run dialogue. I'm able to run like, okay, how would this situation work? I was like, okay, I need something to build in order to do this, or how does this architecture work? It's like, and so if I have an idea, I have to like keep it in my brain. It's like, but instead of having to wait until I get home, Campfire Write also has an app that I have on my phone, so I can immediately come out and do that. Okay, I was like, give me a second, let me get this down. I was like, and then I'm perfectly fine. I have it on the page. It's like, and I don't have to worry about it. I can just come back to it, and I don't have to worry about forgetting. Like, oh, this was awesome. What was it?
What was it? That's me when I wake up. What was I thinking last night? It was so good.
Yeah.
So in this particular book, the only one at the moment that you've published, the one we're covering today, what was your high and what was your low?
And just to clarify, you are an indie author, correct?
Yes, I am an indie author.
Okay.
Everything is like editing.
We'll go into that
all
conversation.
We
want to hear all about that journey, but as a writer.
So probably like low, honestly, was after I finished the book. I was like, yes, I was like, I had gotten it done, and I was going through all of the minor edits and stuff like that, and I kept getting hung up on as like, oh gosh, it's like, this is like very much like imposter syndrome as like kind of going through. And I was delaying and delaying and delaying. And I was like, I knew this was one that was good enough to publish, but it was definitely one that I also did that. I was like, oh, but kind of mentality. And as I was going through, I was stalling and just really not moving forward with my book. And my wonderful mother, love her to bits, sat me down and did you need to stop hesitating on this. This is something that you are very good at, that you have been called to do. I was like, you need to actually put the pedal to the metal. It's like, I don't care like where you are at. You're obviously stuck. Print this out, get it to your beta readers. I was like, and go from there. As like, and I did it the next day, and it jump started me into actually getting all the edits done and starting to format and actually getting to publish. Is like, and so that was probably one of the hardest times, was actually after the book was fully on the page, was just
when
kind
you're
of
done writing and you're like, okay, now what? Right?
I was like, is this actually good? Because it was the first one that I had fully completed, and was doing the okay, am I actually going to publish this? So I was like, as far as high goes, like I loved getting into the heads of all the different characters. As like, I was a little nervous at first to do 4 POVs. I was like, but
wow, that's a lot.
Yes,
That's
I was like, I knew I definitely wanted to have Shannon and Tristan be my main POVs, and then I added Mandy because I wanted an outside perspective from the supernatural world, and then adding Tyrus was really fun because I was able to show the enemy's perspective. I was like, and how that mentality worked, and I thought that would really really kind of color the way the world is seen, because there's 2 sides to every story, and I wanted that second side. I was like, and the weight of that second side, because both sides of this war believe that they're in the right. I was like, and I wanted to show that, and to show the reasoning behind why this war has gone on for so long. And so having Tyrus there was really, really cool to kind of explore that mentality. I was like, and that was a challenge, and I loved the challenge. I was like, of being able to, okay, I need to tell this section of the story. Who needs to tell it? I was like, is this a Tristan point of view? Is this a Tyrus point of view? How does this weave into that? I loved exploring those mindsets and getting into how each person would have reacted to that situation. There were a couple of times where I had to rewrite scenes because I was like, okay, this is good. This isn't the right person. I need to rewrite the scene from this person's point of view. And so that was really, really cool.
Well, that sounds interesting. What would you say? Would you say that was the high of your writing journey, or what was the best part of the whole journey of writing? Aside from your mom, of course, who was so instrumental.
Oh my gosh, I love her to bits. Actually finishing the book. That was the first, like I said, I've written since I was 12 years old.
So funny that your high and your low are the same exact thing.
Yeah, it is kind of funny. It's like, because that was
bittersweet.
It was kind of surreal. I was like, because I'm done. Like, this is a full book. Like, this isn't just some short story. This isn't a chapter here or there. It's not a poem. Like, this is a full novel. And that was kind of, oh my gosh, I did this.
Yes.
Yeah, very much so. Very much so.
When we last met at Books A Million, you were telling me the stats on people that actually start writing or finish writing but don't publish, right? Was it
it's actually, yeah, it's quite high. Yeah. So I can't remember the actual numbers, but there are quite a few authors that like will write books and books and books, but just won't. They either get stuck in the rejection pinwheel of traditional publishing and don't make that leap to self-publish, or they just are like, they want to write for their families, and that's it. And that's kind of, it's like, but this was one that I honestly believe I can be a very good writer, as like, and people can enjoy the stories that I did. And it was having, like, it's still early days, but having those little bits of feedback of like, oh, I liked this, or I loved this character, or like, oh, what are you doing with this? Is like, that has been such a blessing. I was like, not only sharing it with my family, but also sharing it with complete strangers that are just falling in love with these characters and loving them as much as I do, and being invested in the story as much as I am. It's like, was like, what's happening with this character? I don't know, but I want to find out.
Isn't that the best when
Yes.
people ask you like, oh my God, you love her too?
Yes.
You know?
It's like, who's your favorite character? What was your favorite scene? I was like, oh my gosh, yes.
I love that.
You know, I want to talk a little bit about you. You mentioned your mom. So let's talk about your support team while you were writing. I know some authors, they do it alone. Some people do it with a full group of people, family, friends, professionals that are helping them. What did your support team look like?
So I had, as far as beta readers, I had a wonderful friend of mine who's also a writer. She's not published yet, but she's a fantastic writer that helped me do a lot of the brainstorming and stuff like that. It was like she was one of the ones I went to. I was like, okay, I have no idea what's going on. Help. And so she was the one that kind of helped me get through a lot of those roadblocks. She was one of my beta readers. I had one of my really good friends, also a massage therapist down in Florida, who was kind of my first fan. I was like, which was really fun. It's actually the first time that I had gone to her as a client, and we got to chit chat. She's a massive book reader, same as me. And I was telling her about this story. And at that point, I had literally just written like 2 chapters at the time of it, and was telling her about like what I wanted to do with it and everything like that. And she was absolutely enthralled with it. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. This is amazing. I was like, what are you doing with this? And so she was actually my very first beta reader. I was like, she was one that I did those like, would you be interested in reading a couple of chapters? And she was absolutely like dive headfirst in. She wanted every single bit of it. And so every time I came into her, I'd bring her a couple more chapters. And so when I finally had it done, she was one of my main beta readers of fleshing out all of the bulk of the story and like how it flowed and everything like that. And she was one that knew everything kind of from the start. And she was even like, okay, I remember you telling me about this. Why didn't this pop into the book? I was like, because I forgot it. I will fix it.
That's the best feedback.
Exactly. I was like, I had a couple more friends that were just amazing beta readers and doing this. Like, okay, I liked this. This confused me, and kind of getting a lot of that story fleshed out. As far as editors went, my parents were actually the ones who helped me edit. I was like, my mom was my content editor. She is a fantastic writer and has a very similar writing style to me. And so she was able to go through and find those plot holes and do okay, this needs to be fleshed out more. I was like, I see what you're going with this. This needs a bit more description. You might add a scene here in order to deepen this relationship between these characters. Okay, cool. But she was able to do it without altering my voice. And she was very purposeful about that. I was like, that was when she said, I was like, no, I was like, this is your writing. I was like, like, you're so good at this. I don't want to change it. I was like, I just need you to like flesh. I'm like, okay, cool. My dad was my line editor. He was my grammar Nazi. I was like, I absolutely love. He and I have so different writing styles. And so he was one of those like, don't touch the content, Dad. I love you. You write like a guy. Like, right. And so he was my one that that went through and did those like, okay, this comma needs to be here, this needs to be capitalized, that kind of thing. It's like, what was funny was the man could not help himself from doing content stuff as well. So I have my first manuscript, I had this massive binder that I sent Mom and Dad, and they went through it. So I have all these wonderful notes from my dad, like on the sides of the pages. It's like, which is like, I'm probably going to keep that book for
that's gold.
Yeah, that's a treasure right there.
But he was also very good at finding technical issues in it. For instance, there's one scene in the book where she's working with the sea lions in the Marine Center, and he comes to me and he goes, so how many sea lions are in there? I'm like, there's 5. And he goes, okay, so there's 5 here, but then you go a paragraph down here and there's suddenly 4. I'm like, oh, yeah, that needs to be changed. It does. Yeah. So he was very good at picking out like those kind of inconsistencies that I was able to. He was also very good with figuring out the military dynamics between like Tyrus's older brother Atticus, and how he would be perceived as a leader. How Shannon's father Ian would, like, as a leader and a general,
chain of command and all
chain
that.
of command, but also interactions between the soldiers. I was like, how different soldiers would be, like him, them going off as like whether or not a soldier would be AWOL, as like that kind of thing. And so having to figure out those kind of constructions in order to make it make sense to those who have had military experience or have had that kind of thing. So it doesn't suspend the disbelief so much. He was very, very good at catching me on those kind of things and allowing me to fix those errors. So
that's wonderful to have that resource.
Yes, yeah. I was like, they were very, very good to me. I was like, blessing beyond. I was like, and then the formatting I actually did myself. So
so did you use Campfire for the formatting or another program?
No, Campfire is strictly a kind of a brainstorming, and like it's very good for manuscripts. I actually took I bought a course from Abby Emmons. I love her.
We love Abby.
Oh, she's fantastic. I was like, so I bought her course on formatting, and it went through Word, which was what I was using at the time. And so she loved the way she set it up. She had like all of these like separate videos. I'm like, okay, here's how you do widows and orphans. Here's how you do margins. Here's how you do. And she did it in a specific order so that you didn't do a step out of order and mess up your entire manuscript. She did this like, okay, if you do it this way, you won't fritz out. It's like, because I did this, and I hated it. And so she did it in this specific order so that I was able to literally follow step by step on how to do it. And honestly, it was so much fun. I was very surprised at how much fun it was to do the structure part of it and making it pretty and making it actually look like a book.
And I love that. I mean, this is, some would think very tiny a detail, but I thought it was beautiful. The lines that you have on the bottom of each page, I think that's such a beautiful
I have lost count
and it's on the
how many times
too.
Yeah, I have lost count of how many times people have said that they have loved that. That was just a random thing that I did that. Oh, that looks pretty. I'm going to do that. I have yet to have someone not say that they love that.
It's almost like an OCD thing because you're just like,
it's
continues.
It's like a detail. I love that. I mean, I love everything about it.
Well, let's talk about the cover real quick before we get to our last question.
I absolutely
tell us about the cover.
Oh my gosh. So work comes into play again on that one. So I was very, very particular about my cover artist. I knew I wanted an art piece. There are so many books out there, especially in the fantasy genre, where it's just like pretty stylized words and like a sword or an anchor or whatever. And I didn't want it to get lost in the crowd. And so I knew I needed something. It's like
a lot of them look so much alike,
and you get lost. You really get lost. And I also wanted, I'm like, as you can see, a very big book nerd. And so I wanted something that readers would love to have on their shelves that would be pretty enough. They were like, look at this, it's so pretty. I'm like, that's what I do. And I would,
and it reminds me of like old time books. Like it's not
exactly that was the goal. It's like Selkies have been around for like the lore of Selkies has been around for centuries, and they have like
folklore. That's
and they and they have these. There's actually several paintings of them that have this like oil kind of work to them. I absolutely loved, and I knew I wanted something that would kind of pay homage to the old myth in that way. I was like,
even
and I didn't
color.
want yes, oh my gosh. And I didn't want someone with that would do AI. I wanted an actual artist that took the time to make all the structures and everything like that. And so it took me a long time to find my artist. I ended up having a client that had a friend that owned a design company, a graphic design company, and they did like logos and like advertisement stuff. It was like, but one of their employees did book covers. And so she put me in contact with him, and Mike Mulcahy was absolutely amazing. Like from start to finish is absolutely amazing.
So he literally graphically painted this.
It's like he did that. That's all him. That's all him. And that's nearly first try.
Wow.
That's nearly first try.
Felt it.
So for our listeners, so who can't not see our cover of the cover of our book of The Cost of the Coat, there's a beautiful I say like brown reddish hair auburn woman sitting by the sea next to a seal, and of course that's the main character, Shannon. And it's framed by a gold frame with I guess like
filigree.
Yeah, and there's little seal symbols in the corners. And on the back, you actually have like an emblem with the seal.
He came up with that by himself. I didn't prompt that. That was all him.
I love that.
I saw that and it was, oh my gosh, this is amazing.
That's like,
Beautiful.
this doesn't eat. Okay, so I'm not going to categorize indie authors, because some indie authors really go out and it looks like traditionally published. This looks traditionally published.
That was my goal. I was like, I was willing to spend a little bit more money in order to get something that was very professional looking, very put together, something that you would be proud to actually put on your shelves. I was
Yeah.
like, I mean, that's one of my best advertisements. I
Sure.
absolutely adore that cover. It's like, but yeah, very, very professional. I was like, he gave me a call, and we spent probably an hour or so talking about like what the book was, what it was about, the themes and everything, what color schemes I wanted, what I general ideas of what I was looking for. I gave him a couple of book covers that I've been taking pictures of books like for months. So like, okay, I like this, I like this, I like this. And so I sent him a few of those to like, okay, here's somewhat of what I'm looking for. And he goes, okay, I like these two. I'm like, perfect. Those are the ones I liked as well. And so he did this like, all right, give me a couple of weeks. It's like, and I'll get a mock up to you. And he sent me that and another one. And literally there were only two things that I asked him to change in that original mock-up. I asked him to change one of the letters of the T because it looked like an I. And I asked him to soften her face just a touch. And that was it. That was the only thing that needed to be changed. And he did it within, I think, like a day or two, something like that. I mean, it was, and every single interaction was very prompt responses, very easy conversation. I was like, when I had trouble downloading to my platforms because of sizing, I emailed him. I was like, hey, can you do this in a PDF? Can you size it this way? And he's like, absolutely. Sent it back immediately. And so it's like, it streamlined the publishing process as well, because he was very quick to get back to me. As like, and what was really fun was like towards the end of all this is like, hey, I have a few projects in the pipeline. Would you be willing to work with me again? And he goes, absolutely, send me all you got. And I'm like,
Oh,
sweet. So I was like, I
that's
am
it.
absolutely
Partnered up.
stoked. Exactly. I am so stoked
I loved it.
to work with
Has
him again. It's like, and I will tout him all day long. He was absolutely amazing. And obviously he does just gorgeous work.
so shout out to him. I
Yes.
love that. Has anybody told you that there's a feel and a vibe of The Little Mermaid? Not
No, no one said that
only,
yet.
yeah,
That's
Well,
cool.
like I
she,
get like an old vintage vibe of The Little Mermaid, and then
yes.
of course there's the part where there's a voice,
Mm-hmm.
she loses her voice with the hiding of the coat.
Mhm.
So yeah, there's a connection in my brain between
That's
them.
awesome. That's the first time I've heard that. That's really cool.
Yes, 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 yes. So to wrap it all up, tell us what your publishing journey was like. How did you finally decide how you were going to publish, and how did you publish?
So I very briefly considered doing traditional publishing. I was like, but I veered off that pretty quick because the way I write would not be very conducive to a contract with a traditional publisher. Is like the way my brain jumps from book to book. I kind of need to be able to publish what I need to publish in order to have the quality that I demand of myself for my readers. I
Okay.
was like, and so being able to write what I want to write when I want to write it, I was like, was very, very important to me. And having control over content, over how I wanted the cover to work and everything like that, definitely pushed me more into the self-publishing avenue. Um, so I did a lot of research on how I was like how the sorry how the
Traditional publishing
yeah
worked.
the programs and such as like that were needed in order to actually get it to print and get it into people's hands. And so I eventually went with KDP, Kindle Direct Publishing, which is an Amazon affiliate.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went with Ingram Spark, which has inroads into not only Amazon, but Books A Million, Barnes and Noble, Kindle, Kobo, iBooks. And what was really cool to me was they automatically did the hardbacks. And so I was automatically able to do a hardback. And they had inroads not just in the US, but internationally. So it's available not only to locals, but they're like England, France, Italy, Japan, like all of that. They have access to it through Ingram Spark. And Ingram Spark is also one of the main companies that libraries will go to in order to get their books onto their shelves. And I really wanted it to be accessible through the libraries. And so
I agree.
that was a really big thing for me. So I went with both of them.
I love that. I love that. Um, what advice would you give writers?
Get yourself a good support team. I was like, every writer at some point is going to go through is this good enough? Am I good enough? As like, is this actually worth taking the shot? And you need those people in your corner that are going to get past all those cobwebs and do no, this is good. I was like, this is good. You need to get it out. But also the ones that are honest enough with you to, in a kind way, tell you this needs to change or this isn't quite ready yet. I was like, if you fix this, then it's going to be good. I was like, and are able to kind of fine tune you in order to put your best foot forward. I was like, honestly, this book would not have been a thing without my friends and my family pushing me towards it. I was like, it was like absolutely a support system. It was like, that's huge, huge, huge. And don't settle for the easy. If it takes a little bit more work in order to get a higher quality product in the end, it's worth it. And it will pay dividends afterwards.
I love that. Thank you.
Yep.
That's
yeah,
excellent.
Great advice.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, Darbie, it was wonderful having you on our podcast today. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. This is amazing.
You've been so sweet. And
how
awesome.
can our listeners find your book?
So like I said, it's on Amazon, but it's also on Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, Kindle, Kobo, as like any of those sites you can find. Yeah, libraries. It's a little slower on the libraries, but they're starting to get in. I was like, which I'm very excited for. Currently, it's just on the online sites. I am working towards getting them into brick and mortars, but currently it's just on the online forums. I was like, you can also find me on Ingram Spark. As like, so any updates I have on both the Journey of Custard Co. and future works, you're going to be finding me on under Darbie Hamilton author. It's like on Instagram. So
awesome.
Beautiful. All right.
Well, thank you so much. You guys, make sure you check out her book, Cost of the Coat by Darbie Hamilton. Let's do one last cheers, guys. Cheers to your success and your beautiful
Darbie
book.
And her beautiful book. Absolutely.
And you guys, like, share, follow, subscribe. Make sure you stay and check out our next episode.
Absolutely. Till the next one, guys. Bye, Darbie. Thank you again.
Bye. Thanks, guys.
Bye, honey.